Hello, lovely booktubers. Good morning. It's very early. Well, it's not very early. I've been up a couple of hours. It's 7:30, so you will have to excuse me if I slurp from the coffee. I haven't caffeined up yet. I'm Debs. Welcome back to my channel, Raina Reads Stuff. I am sitting in the book shack. It is raining outside. It's a bit cold, but I quite like that. Where has the first quarter of the year gone? We are almost at the end of March. And all my fellow history nerds know what that means. It means for Historathon 2024, we are just about to move into quarter two. And quarter two deals with the times between 500 and 1500 CE. We have 1,000 years of history to explore. So I am here with my pile of possibilities. There's a lot of them. I'll have to go through them quite quickly. I'm going to start with the two books that I am reading during the year. So the first one is this. It's the Faber Book of Reportage. It's absolutely brilliant. It's first-hand accounts of historical events. And the book started 430 BCE with the plague in Athens. What I'm doing is each quarter I am reading the bits that are relevant to that quarter. So this quarter, I have already read A Viking Funeral, which was witnessed by an Arab man and written about, and that was from 922 CE. So I'm going to be starting with The Green Children from 1150, which is written by William Newborough. We have The Murder of Thomas Becket, Richard I Massacres Prisoners, Kublai Khan's Park, Mishaps in Childhood, which is a calendar of coroners' rolls, so that should be interesting. The Battle of Cressy, The Black Death, Women Ape Men, and The Capture of Guin, False Mutes, The Peasants' Revolt, The Battle of Agincourt, and Norwegian Fisherfolk. That takes us up to 1432. I think I'm rather backloading the year because most of those articles in the Book of Reportage cover the last two quarters of the year. And the same with this. Historic speeches. So, at the beginning of the year, I read from Moses to Jesus of Nazareth. I have Muhammad, and we're going down to, there's only 4 speeches. We finish with John Ball, Cast Off the Yoke of Bondage. Again, I'm backloading the year. So those are 2 books that I'm reading over the course of the year. I have a couple of buddy reads coming up this month. Now, both of these books aren't arriving until this afternoon. I will be reading Valkyrie, which is the story of women Vikings, and I'll be reading that with Vin, our the creator of Historathon, and Stephanie Cole. And then I will also be reading The Children of Ash and Elm by Neil Price. And I'll be reading that with John David and also with Stephanie Cohen. So, sticking briefly with the Viking theme, and you will have to excuse me for mucking about with this pile of books. I've got a very small book on the Lewis chessmen, Viking chessmen that were found by a farmer on the Isle of Lewis in the Hebrides. Hebrides? Outer Hebrides? On the Isle of Lewis, off the coast of Scotland. This is by Irving Finkel, and it tells the story of what was done, what happened, how they were found, and what was done with those chessmen. And then on my e-reader, I have uh, the River Kings. Oh, gone. It's disappeared. There it is. The River Kings by Cat Jarman. So we'll have a bit of a Viking theme. I'm probably committed to reading those. I'm definitely committed to reading the first two, and this third one's really short, so. Then I have this, which I am looking forward to, Femina by Janina Ramirez, who is an historian and a broadcaster in the UK. This is a Sunday Times bestseller, and it says a new history of the Middle Ages through the women written out of it. I'm very much looking forward to that. I've had it since last year, and I've been saving it for this occasion. Also by Janina Ramirez, I have The Private Lives of Saints, Power, Passion and Politics in Anglo-Saxon England. Um, Dr. Ramirez is an art historian. I'm very much looking forward to that one too. I don't know if I'm going to get around to all of these, but I'm looking forward to most of them, to be honest. Um, because of Janina Ramirez, who did a broadcast about Julian of Norwich, who was an anchorite, sealed up into the walls of a church. I have this, Revelations of Divine Love by Julian of Norwich. Now, Julian of Norwich was born 1343, died 1416. These are her writings, so whether or not it's going to give me any historical knowledge, I don't know. But I'm interested in reading her thoughts. And in the same vein, from around the same time, this is another religious woman. And this is one of the earliest known autobiographies in English. And it's the book of Margaret Kemp. 1373 to 1440, so roughly the same time as Julian of Norwich. And she travels. She travels abroad and at home, searching for God, basically. I've got a nice big book here. Again, it spans several time periods, but this is the history of Britain in maps. I love a good map. And some of these maps are from earlier than this time period, but about maybe a quarter of them are from this time period. So I'm going to have a look at this. It will probably take me ages because I can't resist a good search of a map. Now, what else do we have? Geoffrey Hindley, the Anglo-Saxons. This takes us up to the Norman Conquest, so 1066. And Geoffrey Hindley is a very respected medieval historian. I also have Life in the Middle Ages. This is by Martin Witter, and this is between the 10th century and the Wars of the Roses. So England was transformed, moving from the dark age of Saxon kings to the birth of a modern nation. The consolidation of crown and the feudal system reshaped the landscape and saw the emergence of towns and trading cities. Using a variety of first-hand accounts and anecdotes, Martin Witter shines new light on this extraordinary era. A lot of these are British again. This one, Mysteries of the Middle Ages by Thomas Cahill. And this is about the rebirth of scholarship and uh, literature and art, and it's not new. In fact, it's very far from new. I'm trying to find when it was published, but it's not going to tell me instantly. But again, interesting. I've got a few specific to individuals. So I have David Horspool, Alfred the Great. If you have time to read just one book about the great man, you should make it this one, says the Daily Telegraph. Excuse me. Then we have King John, England, Magna Carta, and the Making of a Tyrant by Stephen Church. No English king has suffered a worse press than King John. Bad King John, the Sheriff of Nottingham and Robin Hood, Magna Carta, how to disentangle myth and truth. Now, there's a couple of reasons for reading this. I live in Nottingham. I'm interested in the Sheriff of Nottingham. I'm interested in the legend of Robin Hood. And King John's castle is at Newark, which is just up the road. And one of my ancestors was one of the lords who forced King John to sign the Magna Carta. Edward the Confessor. This is by Peter Rix. Um, Edward the Confessor was the son of Ethelred the Unready. It is often portrayed as a holy simpleton. Edward was in fact a wily and devious king. For most kings, a childless marriage would have been an Achilles' heel, but Edward turned it to his advantage. He cunningly played off his potential rivals and successors, using the prize of the throne as leverage. Sounds intriguing. Then, The Scourge Angel by Benedict Cummer. This is the story of the Black Death in the British Isles. So we are talking early 1300s to about 1350. I'm very interested in this. Finally, in hard copy, can't see the title. Agincourt by Juliet Barker. Um, a lively, stimulating account of the bloody day of battle. I don't know very much about Agincourt, and I feel I should. Now, in addition, on my ebooks, I have a number of other things. There's several that I don't know which time period to put them in. I've got the Basque history of the world. I think maybe I'll leave that till Q3. But also, I have a history of Venice, which I think should probably go in this quarter. Of course, I can't find it, but it's here somewhere. Ah, here we go. It's by Julius of Norwich. Looks quite good. I've probably got a couple of more on here, but I'm not organised enough to sort them out. As I did with Q1, I also plan to use my Little Black Classics, my Penguin Little Black Classics, to read around the time period. So, speaking of Shiva, this is anonymous. Four medieval Hindu saints approach sex and death through riddle and enigma in this mystical devotional poetry. Then we have Thomas Nash. Now, I'm trying to see. No, that's too late. That's going to have to be for Q3. And this one, also Q3. So, Marco Polo travels in the land of serpents and pearls. And we've got some medieval Japanese poetry. A Cup of Sake Beneath the Cherry Trees by Kinko. Mrs. Rosie and the Priest by Giovanni Boccaccio. This is from the 14th century and is described as a Florentine masterpiece. Then we go to 8th century China, where we have three Tang Dynasty poets. Back to the Vikings, and we have the Saga of Gunnlaug's Serpent Tongue. Do you like a nice saga? This is a 14th century Persian poet called Hafez. The Nightingales Are Drunk, and Geoffrey Chaucer's The Wife of Bath. I do intend to read the Canterbury Tales later this year, but for the time being, that will do as part of my read around. So lots of books, variety of subjects. I sort of want to go further afield, but the books I have are predominantly about the UK. So bring on Q3 of Historathon. What will you be reading? Leave a comment, let me know. If you've read any of these, I'd love to know what you think of them. That's it for today. Please like and subscribe. It's lovely to see you, and I shall speak to you again soon. I'm not going to do a reading wrap-up for Q1 until probably the beginning of next week, because I still haven't finished a couple of things. So, enjoy your history reading. All the details of the event will be down below, and thank you for popping by. Bye for now.